One night, Esther was having dinner with friends, and one of her very dearest friends was so drunk. And she was saying such nonsensical things and asking questions, asking very important questions. And Esther finally said to her, I have so much I want to tell you, but I'm going to wait until you can hear me. I'm going to wait until you can hear me. Because there was no point in saying these wonderful answers to these wonderful questions in a moment when they could not be received, you see. So when you've convinced yourself that there are problems in the world, and we say, don't look, and you discount those words as if they were ridiculous. That's ridiculous, Abraham, that I would not look at the problems of the world because they surround me, and how can I not see them? And we say, we know it's not an easy thing, but first you have to decide that you're going to find the stance. In other words, there's nothing wrong with looking at the problems of the world if you're standing in the shoes of your inner being, because you can help a lot. But you can tell by the way you feel whether you're standing in the shoes of your inner being, you see. If the problems of the world are making you feel insecure, if they are making you feel afraid, if they're making you feel angry, then you're not in any position to get anything that you want. Give it a rest, 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 because you cannot get there from there. You could ask the most deep, concerning, important questions, and we know you are articulate, you are brilliant, and that you could do it. And we are infinite intelligence. We've got a backup system that we can't even begin to describe to you. There isn't anything that you want to know that we don't know. But when you ask and we answer, we can't make you hear. We can't get you to understand that you got to change your vibration, which means you got to do what Jesus said. You got to turn the other cheek. You've got to look away from what's got you all wadded up, that's got your shield up. Because the answers have been coming to you for a long time. We've never known anyone more in earnest. We've never known anybody who more wanted to know than you. But you cannot stand in that wadded up place and hear. Even though Esther's finding the words, we're giving the knowing to Esther. She's finding the words for you. And even though the words are loud in your ear and everyone else, you cannot hear those words if you are on a different vibrational frequency. It sounds like blah, 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 blah. You couldn't even feel the earnestness with which we were offering it. Source adores you and wants with everything that we are for you to find a way of letting it go, of letting the burden of not believing in yourself go, of letting the burden of being angry at others go. Because as you carry it around, all it does is shield you from the well-being and the clarity and the love and the stability that you want so much and that you are deserving of. We were visiting one day many years ago when Esther was not so busy as she is now. She was at home and people were calling in to talk to us on the telephone. And one day we were visiting with a woman who had so many really legitimate things that she was worried about. And she wanted immediate solutions, and she wanted us to tell her, like a fortune teller might, what was going to happen with this and what was going to happen with that. And we wanted her to understand the important and satisfying role that she could play in the process. We wanted her to know that she could make a difference in every one of these things. But she wasn't really ready to hear it at all, and the conversation was too short. We couldn't really say anything that she could hear. So we said to her, let's talk about something else. And she was annoyed at the idea that we would take her valuable time and talk about something other than the things that she wanted to hammer about. She said, like what? And we said, well, we would like to talk to you about blue glass. And she was not wanting to hear about blue glass. We talked about it anyway. We talked about the texture of glass, the density of glass, the way light flows through glass, the variety of blues. And her understanding did not become more, but we were wanting to make her understand that we were so certain that she couldn't get to where she wanted to go, the route she was taking, that we were going to lead her in a whole different way. And it was the way of distraction. When you've got attraction going, that isn't serving you, you can't stop thinking about it, because when someone says don't think about that, you're just thinking about what you're not wanting to think about even more. So then we said, now we'd like to talk to you about butterflies. Again, annoyed. But we still talked about butterflies for well over a minute. And then she wasn't arguing with us quite so much. And so then we said, now we'd like to talk to you about feathers. Well, about then, the time was close to the end, and she was not getting the answers that she wanted, and she couldn't hear the answers that we were offering anyway. And so the conversation ended, and Esther found Jerry, and they went to have lunch. They were in San Diego. So they drove over to La Jolla, and they were going to have lunch at George's, and they parked the car at the La Valencia Hotel. And as they got out of the car, Esther said to Jerry, "Come with me, please come with me." And Jerry was hungry. He was ready to go to lunch. And Esther said, "Just for a minute, please, come with me, come with me." Esther didn't know what this impulse was about. She just had this powerful impulse to go into this beautiful store. Now that seems logical. It's not the first time Esther dragged him kicking and screaming into a store. But this was different. This was different. This was an impulse that was coming from someplace else. This was an impulse that wasn't coming out of her conscious mind. It wasn't coming as a spin-off of Esther's thoughts. This was coming from within her. It was an urge greater than any urge that she'd ever had, and she had to go into that store. So she went into the store, Jerry followed her in, and she came back into the very last room of the store. And there was a wall of blue glass, the likes of which she had never seen. And do you know, Esther did not make the correlation. Because when she's speaking for us, she's not fully present as you might be. And so she didn't even realize what the blue glass was about, but there was something about seeing it that was utterly satisfying. And Jerry said to her, "You don't even like blue glass." And Esther said, "I know, but look at it." And he said, "I'm looking at it and I'm still hungry." And Esther said, "All right, let's go." So they went and they had a wonderful lunch, and then they went down to the cove. Not a long walk, a walk they've taken many times. And as they walked across the apron of grass, they were surrounded by a flurry of butterflies that was so intense that they had to stop talking to each other, which was also rare, in order to not eat butterflies. It was fun. It was exhilarating. It was unusual. It was incredible. It was amazing. It was so satisfying, although Esther did not know why. It was like, what is this that is happening to us? Two people walking with thousands of butterflies walking with them, surrounding them, weaving in and out of everything that they are. And then the butterflies lifted, and a little boy starts coming across the lawn. And Jerry said, "Esther, it's like he knows you." And Esther said, "I know." And he walked up to Esther and handed her a feather. And then, the most satisfying exchange Esther's ever lived. Because in that moment, she realized the wisdom of what we were doing with that woman. Esther doesn't know if that woman ate butterflies that day, or if she saw blue glass, or if someone handed her a feather. But Esther knows that these topics that were activated in her vibration were satisfied by the laws of the universe. They always, always are. If you want to see beauty in the world, you've got to focus on something that you feel is beautiful, or you have to focus on nothing at all. You don't have to focus upon beautiful, but you can't focus on problems and find beautiful. If we had talked to that woman about her problems would have followed her in a more sure way than they ever had before. You don't want lots of minds. That's what we were talking about earlier. When you are not in vibrational sync with who you really are, you don't want to focus upon your topics. That's why sometimes you come to these gatherings and it takes a little while for you to realize that we are really not wanting you to come to the stage so that we as a group can compound the problem that you have. We're wanting you to float in the butterflies that the group is. We're wanting you to see the blue glass that is all around. We're wanting you to feel the love that is flowing towards you. We're wanting you to soften up your resistance so that you can let in what you well deserve, so that you can let in what you've well decided, so that the things that you want can come to you. They're coming to you, but Nothing gets in. Nothing becomes a reality that you don't translate through your own vibration, you see. And as humans, you don't know that because you look around and you see all of these things that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. So you have a misunderstanding of what reality is and how it got there. Everything that exists in this time-space reality was created by someone through attention to it. Enough attention to it that it became a tangible experience for you, you see. So when you made the decision to be born into this body, you said, I'll come into this physical body and I'll go, this physical body that will be tangible, and I'll go into this sea of creation. And from it, I will come to my own personal conclusions of what I want to give my attention to. And you knew that you were coming into a stable environment, in an environment where there was so much more well-being than not, in an environment where your planet would continue to spin in its perfect orbit, in perfect relationship to other planets. You knew that the water of your planet would be here, that it would continue to be here, that it just wouldn't float off into some other atmosphere. You knew that the food of this planet would be here and that it was enough to sustain you. And you knew that the peoples of the world would move around in clusters and that they would find things to think about and that they would attract into themselves. And you knew that you would witness all of that. But you also knew that while you were witnessing it, that you would feel within yourself emotional guidance that was coming from your inner being, who is witnessing everything with you. Everything that you witness, your inner being witnesses too. Your inner being is always there. But humans, so often, we love you so much, you have let the disconnected tune your frequencies. You've let the worried tune them. You've let the haters tune you. You've let those who don't know tune you. And then you come to talk to us and we say, it's all right. And you say, no, it isn't. And we say, it's getting better. And you say, I can't see it. And we say, you are good. And you say, I'm not sure. And we say, you are a creator. And you say, I see no evidence. And so it takes a little while for us to offer the true vibration of who you are. And if you listen, and you have, as you listen and you allow the vibration of that which your source knows begin to resonate within you, every now and again you catch a glimpse. You allow yourself to be the witness of the thought turning to the thing, and then you know. Then it's not just something that somebody else is saying to you. It's something that you know because it's come from the inside of you, you see. So that's our desire for you. You're not as resistant as we have made you out to be, as you and we have made you out to be. We just caught you at a moment when you've got some things that you really have on your mind and you weren't particularly interested in going about it the way we want to go about it. But we want you to know the way we're going about it is the only way to go about it. Nothing else is working for anyone. Look around. Look what's happening. These are pushing against these. These are pushing against these. Everyone's disconnected from who they are, and they're all paralyzed in their lack of allowing themselves to get what they want, when for the most part they all want exactly the same thing. Isn't that interesting? They want to know that they have value. They want to know that life is good. They want to know that life will go on. They want to know that well-being will abound. They just have this shortage consciousness that makes them believe, because they've been watching each other, that there's only this much good to go around. There's just this little finite pie, and they're all squabbling over the pie, not even realizing all that is created, that is all queued up and ready. Abundance beyond your ability to even conceive of it, ready for all of you to receive, you see. So we're appreciative of a stubborn one like you, who gives us an opportunity to say what we really mean. Because when you're asking in this strong way, even though you're not quite ready to let in everything that we're saying to you, you heard it this time in a way that you've never heard it before, and so did they.